Let's go to Andrew G, Nationals MP and former minister, who joins me from Orange in the central west coast of New South Wales. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. I know you're not at Parliament this week because your electorate's been smashed by the floods. How's your community coping at this stage?
It's absolutely devastating, Chris, and it's difficult to put it into words because people have lost their homes, their livelihoods. Some people, they've just lost absolutely everything and they don't know what to do or how they're going to cope. And for many people, particularly around the Eugowra area, it's overwhelming for them. And for example, I spoke to one local resident a couple of days ago and he has a wrecked house and he'll hopefully get an insurance payout on his cars which were wrecked, and that's it. He's in his late 70s and that's what he has for his retirement. He's already retired, but for the rest of his days, he's got his insurance payout from his cars. That's how desperate this situation is. It's heartbreaking, and we're going to need more help, not only from the community and from the nation, but also from the state and federal governments, because the rebuilding and reconstruction process is immense.
Well, that's why you're staying there and making that your priority, and that's good work as a local MP. We commend you for that and wish you good luck in helping your community. But you've had an impact in Canberra nonetheless, because your party has come out now and prematurely, in my view, said that it will oppose the Voice because they said they were waiting for more detail. You disagree with this? You say you will remain supportive of the Voice. Why was this the wrong call by your party leader?
Well, it's just democracy, I suppose, when you have different ideas. Democracy is the battle of ideas, and I disagree with the position that the party room took on Monday. And the reason is that while reconciliation has come a long way in our country through the years, we've still got a long way to go. And this is a really important part of the reconciliation process, and it should be a moment of unity and not a moment of division. And it takes all of us to work in good faith, with good hearts and in a generous spirit, and that's what we need to do. And I think that given time, the Voice can lead to those tangible outcomes that so many Australians want to see, and we need to give it a go. And we need to keep working at it. And yes, more detail is required, but I don't think now is the time to close the door. Now is the time to really redouble our efforts and work hard to make sure that the community understands what is proposed, that our local Indigenous groups understand what is proposed, because I've been undertaking a lot of consultations on this around my local area, and our local Indigenous groups want more detail as well, because they want to make sure that they have a voice within the Voice, but they also want us to keep working at it, and they don't want us to close the door or give up or stop walking down that road. And they want to do it together with the community. It's really important that this is a moment of unity and not a moment of division. And I've supported a constitutionally enshrined voice to Parliament for a number of years, and I just cannot just roll over and accept that this is now going to be my position. That's not the way Parliament should work. It's not the way parties should work, and it's definitely not the way that MPs should operate. If we feel strongly about something, we need to say it, and if we can't toe the line, then we need to make that very clear and put our positions forward, and that's what I'm doing.
I just want to show a clip of what your leader, Nationals leader David Littleproud, said when he made this announcement in Canberra earlier this week. Here's David Littleproud.
And unfortunately, we've got to a position where we don't believe that this will genuinely close the gap. So the National Party has made a position that we will not support the Voice to Parliament. We believe in empowering local Indigenous communities, giving them the power at a local level, not creating another layer of bureaucracy here in Canberra.
I find it very confusing because there is a lot of detail around that was put together by the coalition in government. Ken Wyatt, the former Indigenous Affairs Minister, has made reference to that today. I've got a copy of the report here. This is what your own government did when it was in power, as you know. But having said there's not enough detail, why wouldn't you then wait to see what Labor puts forward in terms of the way it's going to structure the voice? Why would you pull the rug out from underneath it before they've come back to you with that detail? David Littleproud is yet to answer us on whether he went to the Prime Minister or to the Indigenous Affairs Minister, or whether he even consulted with the Coalition's shadow Indigenous Affairs Minister, Julian Leeser. We just don't know. Were you consulted on this decision, for instance?
Well, look, when the party room met on Monday, at the very time it was meeting, I was attending a funeral in Eugowra for a much-loved local resident, so I wasn't able to participate. So it's very difficult for me to comment about what was said at the meeting. I have since spoken to David this morning, and he's told me in subsequent communications that my point of view was put forward, and I made sure when coming up to that meeting that my position was very well understood by the leadership, and one of my trusted advisors went down just to make sure, because I was in the car going to Eugowra, making sure that there was a clear understanding of what my position is.
So it was misleading to say this was a unanimous position, because it's been portrayed as a unanimous position in the party room. That's clearly not the case.
Well, I suppose it was unanimous for the people who were at the meeting, but I wasn't at the meeting, and
but you're saying your
long-standing position.
Yeah, and you're saying that was made clear. I just want to find out from you your best estimate of where the Nationals are heading on this, because we know the Western Australian Nationals are not withdrawing support for a voice. Do you believe there are more people in your own federal party who have misgivings about the position as announced this week by David Littleproud and Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price?
Look, it's difficult for me to say because I wasn't there, so it's hard to gauge what people are thinking in the party room. And I think, given that I'm a few hundred Ks away, I just can't do it. But look, the email traffic and the calls and texts that I have had over the last day have been very positive. Some have not been supportive, but the majority have been supportive. And so I think that me personally, and I think our community, I think we can take heart from that there are people, community members, who want to work constructively on the voice and see where we can land. And I think we can do it if we work together. And yes, there is an onus on the government to make sure the community fully understands what they're going to be voting for. And the community does need to be comfortable with it. But we need to keep working at it, and we need to keep working together. And we need to give it a go. Let's see what we can achieve together, because our local Indigenous groups here want to be working together, and they don't want this to be a time of division. They want it to be a process of national unity, so that we all keep walking down that road of reconciliation together. It's really important that we do that, and that we seize this opportunity for our country. I would like to think that reconciliation will be complete in my lifetime. I'm not sure that it will be, but I hope it will be. And if you look at how far we have come, Chris, the public school that I went to, there were no lessons, there were no books, there was nothing on Indigenous culture locally or nationally. And I look back to those days, to how far we have come now, where in my local schools here, they're teaching Wiradjuri. Extraordinary progress has been made, but the process isn't complete. And we have to keep walking down that road, and we have to do it with that generosity of spirit. And we need to be open-minded about it as well. I can remember when that Mabo decision was handed down all of those years ago. People said it would turn the legal system upside down, and it would be a terrible thing for the country, and we'd never be the same again. And you know what? The world has kept on turning, and Australia has developed and moved forward. And we can do it with this as well. It's just about understanding another point of view and having that respectful conversation. And I think we've just got to keep working at it. And I think we can get there if we do it in that spirit of generosity. So let's keep moving forward and walking down that road of reconciliation. In my own electorate, Chris, there are about, or just under 8% of people identify as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. So this is a very real process. This is not an abstract debate
Absolutely.
our communities. So
Very, very much an on-the-ground issue for an electorate like yours. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. I appreciate your time.
thanks for having me on the show, Chris.
Andrew G there on the flood disaster confronting his region and why he breaks ranks with the Nationals and continues to support The Voice.